Hi guys, in this video I wanted to talk about common mistakes that people make when they're applying to medical school, specifically in their application. This can really apply to any type of application that for any type of graduate program. I wanted to take some time and go through common mistakes that you can avoid to make sure that you get accepted into medical school. So the first thing you want to make sure you do is to proofread your application multiple times. Your personal statement, everything else that you're typing into the application, and you want to make sure you do that multiple times. I know it sounds logical, it sounds dumb, but it's so easy to make mistakes and miss dumb things. You have to remind yourself that this is the admissions committee's first time and first glimpse at you as an applicant to their school. So if you make mistakes, it looks like you're careless, that you don't care. It seems dumb, but these are things that the admissions committee has to do to see who's the best fit for the program. So you need to proofread. And going along with proofreading, there are tons of things online that can help you. Even now I use Grammarly. It's like already a plugin in my Google Docs, so that is a good first step to like making sure that my grammar is correct. You can read it to yourself, you can read it out loud multiple times, and you can also have somebody else or multiple people proofread it for you. My second tip, it kind of goes along with the first tip of proofreading, but it is to be mindful of who you are contacting and who you're emailing. So if you are sending an email to the admissions office at medical school X, you want to make sure that it actually says, for example, Rutgers, New Jersey Medical School. You don't want to be sending an email to my school, Rutgers, and you copied and pasted and you put another medical school's name in. That automatically looks like you don't care, that you were just copying and pasting, you weren't taking your time. They take note of these types of things, and I know now that a lot of things are virtual. There's a lot of there's even more communication online via email. You need to make sure that you are on point with who you're contacting. So you check the to line, you check the body of the email or whatever correspondence you're sending, and you want to make sure that that is correct. The third thing you want to do is to know your application like the back of your hand. A lot of times when you're in the interview, even though it'll be, for a lot of you, it'll be virtual, the interviewer might actually have your application in front of them, and they might literally read parts of it out to you, ask you questions about it. You don't ever want to hesitate if you're being asked about something in your application. You lived it, you did it, you should know about it. This also goes with the fact that if everything in your application is true, if you did everything, there shouldn't be any hesitation, and you'll know everything, and you'll be able to speak passionately about, what it is you did, why that was important for you to do before coming into medical school, how you can continue those qualities and those skills that you learned in that activity. So even if you have to read your application multiple times, that'll go with the proofreading part. And before your interview, make sure you read your application one last time to make sure that you know what you did, and that you're confident in speaking about it. All of these are important things. The next tip I have that I want to make sure you guys do when you're applying is to be accurate. There are parts in the application, we're talking about medical school right now, so AMCAS, where it asks you about the number of hours that you did, that you completed for each activity. If, for example, you volunteered at a hospital and you put 500 hours, but you really only did 50, first of all, it's dishonest. It's lying. No one wants a liar in their program. They want to see that you were passionate. Maybe you only did 50 hours for X, Y, and Z reasons, but you did it over the span of 50 weeks or, a long time when you were committed to doing an hour for those 50 weeks. like the admissions committees see that and they see like, oh, he or she took an hour every week for a whole year, and that's what they could do with time constraints. And being students, they know that you can't be like Mother Teresa and saving the world. They know it's hard. You have to balance things. So make sure that you're honest and you're accurate about your hours. What I did was I kept an Excel spreadsheet with the dates and the amount of time that I did every activity. At the time, I volunteered at a hospital in New York City. So every time I went, I would go into my Google sheet or Excel sheet and track the hours and just just know that it was done every week. So then when it's time for you to actually put the hours in your application, you don't have to worry about it because you already tracked it accurately and there's no issues. It's just taking that total number and putting it in the application. The last major tip I want to give you guys is to use your secondary application wisely. What do I mean by that? The secondary application is the application that you get after you do your primary. So some schools will send these applications out as like within 24 hours. Sometimes you'll have to wait a little bit, but this is your time to really focus on that particular school versus like your general personal statement of why you want to become a physician, why you're interested in medicine. You need to take the time to do this. This is your time to talk about any weaknesses you may have in your application. Did you fail a class? What happened? Tell them there. What did you learn from it? It's more important that you talk about how that has formed you and what you learned from it versus either not saying anything about it or quickly mentioning it and then hoping that they don't ask you about it. Contrary to popular belief, medical schools don't want you to be perfect, but they want to know that you're willing to learn and that you have passion. So maybe you failed organic chemistry the first semester and then you got an A the second semester. What was that process like for you? How did you improve? These are all really important things. Don't take that for granted. So when it comes to the secondary applications, the most important thing that you can do is research the school to the best of your ability. You obviously want to start with the school's website. And I think for me, the most important question is, how does their mission statement align with my goals and what's important to me and in my journey to becoming a doctor? With that, you can sort of prime yourself and see, oh, do they care a lot about community service? I care about community service, so this is a school I'm interested in. Do they care about health disparities? If they don't, and that is something you're passionate about, then maybe they shouldn't be on your list. I think a lot of pre-meds will want to apply to the most competitive schools. Spoiler, all medical schools are pretty competitive. It's difficult to get into medical school. So don't just apply to these big name schools or schools that you hear people talking about. Really do your research on what school and where is going to be the best place for you to learn and become the best physician that you can be. Another example is if advocacy is important to you, it might be important to go to a school where that is clearly stated in their mission statement, because if it's in their mission statement, it means it's important to them. It's something that they want up front. So really take the time to look into these aspects of each school. And while you're doing that, making specific lists of questions for each school, like how are your students involved in advocacy? What roles do students play in alleviating health disparities and health inequity research, and how is that involved? How is that incorporated into the curriculum already? So before you even start typing anything into AMCAS, you need to take the time and go through their website and see what the instructions are for applying and making sure that your application is complete. Have the list of the deadlines posted somewhere, printed out, have reminders in your phone, have reminders in your calendar of when things are due, when schools start releasing things, when your MCAT score, what's the latest date for your MCAT score to be uploaded. All of these things are important because if your application is not complete and not done correctly, how can the schools even look at it and consider you? So just be on top of all of these things, all of these deadlines. And it's like you've been working so hard for this moment, you're not going to want to mess it up over like forgetting to submit something or forgetting to like ask someone to write a letter for you and not following up with them. And maybe I'll do another video on getting letters of recommendation as well. Let me know if you guys are interested in that, if that'll be helpful to you, and I could do that. A few weeks before it was time to submit my application, I had typed everything into AMCAS and I actually printed it out so I could see exactly how it was going to look, because maybe when you were copying and pasting things, the formatting things could shift, there could be spaces, it could end up looking crazy. So printing it out and seeing how it's going to look is super helpful. Have someone else look at it, make sure you're not overlooking anything. Although this is not 100% that you won't get in, I would emphasize trying to have everything submitted on the first day that you can submit. That's what I did. I was ready. As soon as they said we could, I like pressed the button, said my prayers. Could you submit on the second day? Of course, but if you're waiting and it's like 30 days out, 60, if it's too long of a time, you're diminishing your chances a little bit. There's just so many other people that they are going to have to look at, and then it can get iffy. So I would say the first day is the best day, but within that first week, you're probably good to go. And if anyone knows differently or has any other suggestions for that type of thing, please leave it in the comments and let us know so we can share with other people and make sure that we're getting more people into medical school. Overall, just remind yourself that this is the thing. Your application is what is going to have the admissions committee invite you for an interview or not. So really prioritize paying attention to all the little details, every deadline, anytime that you can do something early and get it done, do that. You really just want to increase your chances of getting the interview. And I know that you guys can do it. I did it, so can you. If you guys have any questions, leave a comment, or you can also DM me on Instagram, and I'll put that somewhere on the screen. That's it for this video. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.